Hey everybody, my name is Nathan Grimes. Today we are going to talk about failure. So failure is I'm very passionate about because it's super important to understand that failure is a very huge important aspect of your life. Everybody's going to fail. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's just how you react to that failure and how you approach that failure that's going to make the difference. So the first thing I want to touch on is accepting failure. So when you start something, when you start a project, if you're an athlete or if you're a forex trader or whatever you're going out to do, whether you're in school, you got to understand that you're going into that knowing that there's going to be hard times and that there's failures. So if you go in there thinking that you're just going to succeed right off the bat and that you're just never going to lose, you're going to have a really hard time. I was a student athlete for years, and I wasn't on a losing team for probably the first like half of my playing career. And then I had 1 year where I was just on a really crappy team, and that's when I learned a lot about failure, because I learned that we can get better from it. There's always something to take away from failure. Every day when you have a failure, you should know how you can take away from it to get better. Write down your failures. Don't forget your failures. More importantly, you just got to make sure that you have the mentality of, I'm going to get kicked and I'm going to get knocked down, but guess what? I'm coming back 10 times stronger. You can't just go into something knowing that you're thinking that you're going to be 100% all the time. It's not going to happen. The best of us get knocked down. It's just how you bounce back. So I want to talk about your approach coming into a project, whether you're going into Forex. Like, take this for example. I tell people on my team all the time, start Forex with your first 100. Just start $100. That should be your first account. The reason being is because I want you to learn how to, one, invest properly with risk management, and two, I want you to learn what it's like to lose that money. Because ultimately, like Cole was talking about, you can and you will lose your first account. You'll blow an account. It happens to everybody. I've done it. But guess what? I only lost $100 because that's all I allowed myself to lose. I tell people it's literally like gambling. The second you throw that money into that brokerage account, just accept the fact that it's gone. Because having that mentality will allow you to, one, have no fear, and two, it'll allow you to open up and learn because you're not scared of losing your money. Now, there has to be a responsibility with that, but at the same time, you need to understand that you have to have the mentality of it's already gone. That way you can open up and be free. You can't let fear burden you, and you can't let failure burden you. You have to have a positive mindset in everything you do. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to break out and see that huge success margin that you're looking for. So I'm going to roll into a couple mentors and like guides that I've watched just because they're huge and they're successful. And everybody here should be watching successful people, whether it's somebody that you actually know or whether it's somebody like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Albert Einstein was one, Jeff Bezos, who's the richest man in the world now. If you aren't watching these guys and these people, like, you're not paying attention. You're not learning what you need to learn because you need to mimic what success does. And Elon Musk, I'm going to give you a great example right now. He's in multiple industries that are just setting the standard, and they're going out and they're finding new things, which is really hard to do in today's society. So you know they're getting kicked and they're just getting womped on over and over and over because they're doing new things. They are pioneering the future. They're trying to get us to Mars. They're trying to perfect mass production of electric vehicles. They're doing so many great things, and Tesla hasn't posted profits, I think, in the entire time it's been around. But they continue to succeed and they continue to take off and they're continuing to grow. Elon Musk said that with SpaceX, he was down to they had 3 rockets that they could afford. 3. And guess what? On the 4th one, because they were able to get a 4th because they showed a little bit of success on the 3rd one. On the 4th one, they were able to succeed. And guess what? That's when he was able to blow it open. But if that 4th rocket failed, like 100% failed, he was done. He threw everything he had into SpaceX. Everything. And people don't realize that people just see the success. They don't see all the underlying iceberg effect failures that got them to that success. You got to think of success like an iceberg. You see the little point at the top, and that's your success up here. But everything down here, under the water, everything is your failures, and that's what's keeping you up. I'm going to go ahead and run through an example for me when I was growing up. So I really like to tell people to learn from other people's mistakes, because those are going to be the most important lessons you learn, and they're going to be the easiest lessons you can learn. If somebody goes and blows an account and they tell you why they blew it or how they blew it, then that should be one less way you blow an account. Simple as that. Something that, from my personal experience, I didn't have the greatest home life growing up. I was the youngest. I have an older sister who, she was always in trouble. She was always doing drugs. She was always doing something wrong. So I was the quiet kid that was in a room listening to the fighting, listening to whatever my sister did wrong, or just watching the effects of everything that's happened. So as a leader, you need to be able to have the capability to stop, be quiet, and watch. And the reason being is because you can always learn something. So my sister, years and years and years of this, I learned exactly what not to do. It was just, don't be my sister. And that turned me into the person I am. Going through the Army, coming up through terrible leadership in the Army, I learned I never want to be that person. I never want to be like them, because I never want to be treating somebody the way they're treating me. So learn from other people's mistakes. And your mentors, your leaders, they should be teaching you what not to do, because they've made those mistakes or because they've seen the mistakes. And that's where you as a leader need to come in and cut the learning curve, because that's the only way that we can improve faster. Because if you come in and you think, and you have to start from the very bottom, you're going to continue to make the same mistakes that everybody else in your team has already made. So why make them? You guys have something to learn from each other. And in the Army, this is something I take to the grave in the Army. I've been told multiple times, officers should not be buddy-buddy with enlisted. I think that is the biggest bullshit that I've ever heard. One of the closest soldiers I was with in my last unit was a private. And this private taught me a lot of things, because he had knowledge I didn't have. So don't be afraid to cross that barrier and go to the lowest person and get to know them. You should know every single person. You should at least have a conversation with every single person in your team, because ultimately at the end of the day, they are in your team and you are responsible for their success. So teach them the failures you've had, give them the guidance that they're seeking, and more importantly, see what you can take away from them. I guarantee they have something that they can teach you, whether it's inside Forex or outside of Forex. If you're looking to start investing in real estate, I guarantee you probably know somebody who deals in real estate. I personally have a friend who he specializes in long-term investments, and we sat down and he's like, I see what you can offer me, but I just don't know what I can offer you. I'm like, man, like you have massive access to things knowledge I don't have. So he's been teaching me long-term investments and how to be an insurance broker. So like things like that, like you can create relationships outside of Forex with Forex. It's a cool tool, but use that success and that failure to branch out. You always have something to learn. So what I want to do right now is I want to go ahead and read off a quote. And in this quote, I'm going to go ahead and we'll go ahead and say T. I want you to respond to this quote first. I want you to listen to it, and then I want you to go ahead and unmute yourself and give me what you think about it. All right, you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Failure should be our teacher, not our undertaker. Failure is delay, not defeat. It is a temporary detour, not a dead end. Failure is something we can avoid only by saying nothing, doing nothing, and being nothing. What are your thoughts?
Can you repeat that real quick?
Yeah. Failure should be our teacher, not our undertaker. Failure is delay, not defeat. It is a temporary detour, not a dead end. Failure is something we can avoid only by saying nothing, doing nothing, and being nothing.
So basically when you said it's delayed, something like that.
Yeah.
Basically, once you fail, you need to keep pushing. That's basically what it's really saying. Once you fail, just keep pushing. Just like you said with the blowing your accounts. When you blow your account, you don't need to sit down for like 2 weeks and be like, I'm done trading. Your ass need to keep blowing your accounts. The more you blow your accounts, the more you're going to continue to learn.
Absolutely. Some people need to learn the hard way.
Exactly. And shit, I was one arm. And
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure majority of us was one arm.
absolutely.
First week, first 2-3 days, shit, we blew our accounts. But guess what we did? We want that type of person that was like, okay, I'm done with Forex. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. No, the next day we funded our account again, or the next 3 days, and we did it again.
Absolutely.
And
And
we
I think that something that you mentioned, I think was a great aspect is like you blew that account, but you got right back up on the bull and you kept riding. So they say in this quote, it says failure is something that we can avoid only by saying nothing, doing nothing, and being nothing. So literally what Dennis Waitley is saying in this quote is the only way you can not fail is literally not existing. He's literally saying failure is imminent. You just have to be able to approach it differently. So I think that's a great one. Cole, you're up on it next. Are you ready?
Yeah, I can go. Can you repeat the quote for me one more time?
Oh, this is going to be a new one. It's going to be a new one.
Go ahead.
All right. So I want to go ahead and give you failure is so important. We speak about success all the time. It is an ability to resist failure or use failure that often leads to greater success. I've met people who don't want to try for fear of failing.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. I mean, I think that just like outlines the point that you should always just keep going with what you're doing, and you have to, if you want to be successful in something, you have to go 100% at it, like at all times. Like you have to be thinking about it, dreaming about it, living it. Like, I don't know, you just have to attack things and fail all the time. Like everything I've done, like I played golf for the majority of my life and I failed so many times. I lost so many tournaments, like had some heartbreaking stuff happen, but I always kept trying, and I ended up having like a lot of success in golf, and I met like a lot of amazing people. So just kind of like turning your failures into success is like the name of the game.
Exactly. So, and I think the thing that was great about that was you weren't scared of failing, right? You just kept
Absolutely
going.
not. Yeah, you can't be. I mean,
You
fear
can't.
can't be a thing when you're pursuing something
Yeah.
to make it into your full potential.
So that's going to roll me into my next one. Alexis, you're up on this one. You ready?
Yep, I'm good.
All right. So this one is only those who dare to fail greatly can ever achieve greatly.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I agree with that one. Mostly because there are so many people that they quit after one failure or 12 failures but when it comes to Forex, you could lose 100 trades. It doesn't matter. You have to keep going. The drive has to be strong. Your desire has to be strong. Your why has to be strong. Like if your why is not strong, like if your why does not make you cry, it is not good enough. or else when you are defeated, you won't have anything to push you up anymore, because that failure will bring you down so far. You have to have a reason to keep going. And the people who dare to take these big losses, like I said, I lost almost $3 grand, and I don't care. I still trade. Now I'm trading right now.
Yeah,
that's just how it is. You have to take big risks. I mean, you just have to constantly motivate yourself, and you have to keep going, or else you're never going to achieve your goals.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. And so that brings me over to what Thomas Edison says. Thomas Edison, I mean, the man's responsible for a lot of what we have today, right? So he came through and he said, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work.
You only needed one.
You learn that over and over. I know T said he's had like, 30 indicators, and you've learned that naked Forex works better for you, which is awesome. That folds me over to my next quote with Coco Chanel. Success is most often achieved by those who don't know that failure is inevitable. So if you come in and you have that approach that, hey, I know failure is going to happen, you're going to succeed, because you're going to be.
You're not going to knock it out in one trade.
Yeah, you're going to be ready for when that comes, and you're not going to be surprised when you fail. Most people act like it's a surprise that you failed. No, it isn't. Like, you should have known that it was coming. You just have to know how to approach it when it happens, and you have to know how to learn from it when it happens, which pulls me to my final quote. Failure isn't failure isn't fatal, but failure to change might be. So if you continue to do the same thing over and over and over and expect a different result, what is that the definition of? It's insanity.
Mediocrity.
That is the dead definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So if you continue to fail and you're not changing what you're doing to try to do it a different way, and you just continue to do that same thing and expect a different result, then guess what? You're going to keep failing, and that's going to be fatal. You're not going to succeed because you're going to continue to do the same thing that's causing you to fail. So that concludes basically my topic on what I want to talk to you today with failure. I'm going to go ahead and open up for anybody who wants to add any value or who wants to ask a question, anything like that. The floor is yours.
Okay, so to add some value, something that I heard in one of my motivational videos, actually not too long ago, is that some people will sit back and they'll watch motivational videos and then they'll complain that, man, this didn't change my life. I'm still not motivated to get up and do anything. And I sat there and I read the comments on that and I said, bruh, what do you think? Someone's going to hop out the video, wave a magic wand on your shit mediocre life? I mean, really.
Yeah, they're just giving you ideas and how to, and if you apply those ideas to your life, I promise that your life is going to change. But a lot of people just listen to these videos thinking, oh, like if I just listen to this, then my life's going to be better. But they're not changing anything, right? So if you take what you learn from reading, from these videos that you're listening to or watching, from audio, like from anything, then you're going to go, you need to apply it. So go ahead and try to apply the learnings that you have and you'll succeed.
Gotta keep going. We are not our thoughts, we are our actions.
Darian, fail forward. I like that. Good.
Hey, man. One thing I can say, everybody know I say this a lot. Consistency is fucking key.
Absolutely.
Consistency is key, bro. I tell everybody that because this shit's so fucking true. Like, you can't fail being consistent. If you consistent at something, if you consistent at your weakness, bro, I guarantee you that's gonna become a strength.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Just be consistent. You gonna fail.
If you consistently fail.
Exactly. You gonna fail, but the more, like I said, the more that you fail, bro, the more lessons that you're gonna learn.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. I look forward to failure. I welcome failure. I want failure to punch me in the face every morning. Simply because I learned another way. I can't do that. And I'd rather it happen now while I'm young than in my 30s or 40s whenever I got to start getting down the safer route of things and I can't be in a position to like take that out. Like some people have families, like some people have kids. Like me, I'm a single guy. Like I can make mistakes. I'm 23 years old and I can make mistakes. So if you're on the younger side of things, like I think you have a great opportunity ahead of you and you need to be excited for the next 6 years that you have coming up because that's just an opportunity to fail. And like you can fail often, but fail forward. Just like Darian was saying, like I honestly fully believe that. And as long as you're ready to get punched in the face and you're accepting it and you're like, yo, like I'm ready to learn, then you got great things coming. You really do.
Exactly. Like we are our actions. We are not our thoughts. Like some people there say that they're going to be champions, that they're going to be rich, that they're going to be successful but their actions are poor, ordinary, and their actions say last place. You can't do that here.
Absolutely. Does anybody else have anything to add? No? All right. So this is the conclusion of today's topic. I hope you all learned something. We'll go ahead and get back at it again tomorrow at 2 Arizona time. All right. Have a good one.